So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the Mediterranean Sea becomes a country. Now, this is kind of weird. Understandably so. A whole sea becoming a country doesn't make a lot of sense, but I have done a similar video to this before with the Caspian Sea, and that was just to kind of test the ideas of this video, which was my main goal. So that video did okay, so now we're doing the Mediterranean Sea. Obviously, the Mediterranean Sea is a very important area in the world. We've discussed this in past videos before, but what if the Mediterranean Sea became a country? If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight into this war scenario. So if this were to happen, obviously a lot of countries are going to be not so happy. Italy specifically was not going to be happy. They lost all their sea access, and they also have a lot of exclaves over here in the new Mediterranean country. So how powerful would this new country be? Probably not powerful at all. In order for this to even happen, we would have to first of all fill in the whole sea, which is impossible, and then we would need to elevate it in other areas so it actually has terrain. It would probably be very like farmable, but also maybe not, because the Mediterranean Sea itself is what makes these kind of areas farmable. So yeah, this is a fantasy scenario, so it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. But going back to what I said earlier, a lot of countries would be mad. Spain would be mad, France would be mad, Italy would be mad, even Greece would be mad, Turkey would be mad. So overall, not a lot of happiness, but the Mediterranean Sea is going to want to connect itself better. As you can see, if we go ahead and color it in red, this is a very oddly shaped country, and it's really hard to see it as anything but the Mediterranean Sea. So here's what the country really looks like, and it's still very hard to see this as anything but the Mediterranean Sea. So we're gonna fix that. First off, we have this country declaring war on Albania. Now, why do they have beef with Albania? I don't know. But the most likely reason they did something like this is to have a larger entrance into the Adriatic region, because, you know, this is not that much. So they send troops over into Albania, and as expected, the larger country is gonna win here. And in the peace treaty, they will of course fully annex Albania. Now, what's the population of this country? How big is its military? What's its economy like? There's no way to tell. So we'll go ahead and be generous. We'll say it's like the 15th strongest military in the world, population of 200 million, and its economy is on the rise. Let's put it at 35. So it's a strong country with a rising economy and a lot of people in it. So now they've taken out Albania, what is their next goal? They probably want to get themselves some allies, because obviously the countries surrounding them are not going to be too happy with this country's existence, given that they just lost all the Mediterranean coast. So becoming allies with some of these interior European countries, or maybe even some Middle Eastern countries or North African countries, would be very beneficial, just in case any of these North African or Southern European countries decide to band up against a Mediterranean country. So they will go ahead and they will get themselves two allies, one of them being Serbia and another one of them being Romania. They're already on Serbia's good side with them, you know, erasing Albania and all. That allows Serbia to go ahead and annex Kosovo. From here, the Mediterranean country will go ahead and invade and take all of Montenegro, and now Serbia and them will go ahead and team up to go ahead and take on all of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, NATO, the UN, that kind of stuff, it doesn't exist anymore. We got rid of that. We don't need that. The reason I do that is because NATO versus the Mediterranean country would obviously lead to a NATO victory, so we kind of have to get rid of that in order for this scenario to even work. But Bosnia and Herzegovina is now annexed, and we will go ahead and divide this country up. So Serbia is obviously going to get all of the eastern parts, and the Mediterranean country will go ahead and get all of the western parts. And it really looks like Yugoslavia might be on the rise again. So for one final country here, we have the Mediterranean country, I'm just gonna call them Mediterranean, and Serbia teaming up to take on Croatia. Now the reason I call this the final country is because this is the final straw for other countries. So we have Mediterranean and Serbia obviously winning against Croatia, and then they're divided up. But now Italy and France declare war on Mediterranean in order to, I guess, reorder the Mediterranean and give them the power that they lost back, or more specifically the power that they had over here in the Western Mediterranean. Now of course Mediterranean will go ahead and call in its allies, being Serbia and Romania, but France will also call in Greece, who they kind of have like a weird alliance with. I don't really know how it works, but it's against Turkey, so I don't really know if they can call them into the war, but Greece is going to join regardless, simply because they have disputed land over here. But unfortunately for Greece, Turkey has finally made up its mind if they want to support this new country or if they want to be against it, and they're supporting it simply because Greece is an easy target for them. And maybe Mediterranean and Turkey can figure out something going on over here with Istanbul, or maybe something going on with the Greek panhandle. Nonetheless, Turkey will join the side of the blue team and give them a huge advantage. Now, allies. I did say that NATO doesn't exist, but country ties are technically still there. So that's why France and Greece are working together. That's why Turkey's against Greece. But we don't have to necessarily have that in 100%, only when it's convenient. That's kind of how these scenarios work. We only use things when they're convenient. So conveniently, Germany wants to reform their Reich. Just a perfect timing, right? They elected a new leader. Sure. Conveniently, they'll declare war and side with Mediterranean. Very convenient. Anyway, to the war. Italy and France do wonders over here in the North Mediterranean area as they connect with Sardinia and Corsica. What did I say? I don't know. They fixed it though. They're all connected now. And they're going to go ahead and send an ultimatum over to Mediterranean saying, hey, we just want what we have now, maybe a little bit more of this, and we'll leave you alone. Now, I actually don't know where these guys' capital would be. I'm assuming it could be actually anywhere. Like maybe Malta sinks and then there's a capital there now. I don't know. But Mediterranean, of course, is going to be like, no. Greece will start to do some invading, but Turkish forces will soon arrive and push them back. And from there, Greece is on its way out in this war as forces are pushing in from every side. They lose Crete and a bunch of their islands, or I guess what were islands, and Greece falls pretty quickly. Now, I know realistically they have a really large military. They wouldn't fall this quickly, but obviously they're not going to win in this scenario. They're surrounded by a bunch of not so friendly countries. They don't have a chance. We'll go ahead and skip over that. But who does have a chance is Italy and France, who both have very strong militaries, stronger than that of Mediterranean. Speaking of Mediterranean, they'll go ahead and go on offense in Sicily. I know that Sicily is a giant mountain. I do not care. And they will start to work their way up the Italian peninsula. Now, they don't necessarily have to do this because they can attack from wherever they want to, and that's what they do. But they do mainly focus on wiping out this lower boot area. As for France, seeing that Mediterranean will not surrender, they're going to go ahead and do some more damage as they start to push over towards Spain's islands, in which Spain offers them a lot of good things, like resting their troops there, giving them supplies, so on and so forth. Spain is in support of France. However, they don't join the war simply because they don't believe in violence as an answer. But they are going to go ahead and support the violence anyway, so yeah. Back north of Germany now, remember how they struggled in this area during World War II? Well, that's not an issue anymore. Germany has broken into France, which will leave France to go ahead and kind of pull out some of their troops from Mediterranean, which will inherently give them a huge advantage as they're able to take Italian forces by surprise and penetrate up towards the northern Italian area. From here, they go in and cut off France from Italy, and this is where the biggest blow is blown. That doesn't make any sense. They take a big L here. They lose Rome. And from here, Italia starts to crumble as, well, the Mediterraneans are everywhere. Italy looks like it's had a pretty bad day, and they go ahead and surrender over to Mediterranean, which just leaves France, and well, they get kicked back a lot. They lose Corsica, but they do hold their own against Germany, who has a smaller army than France. And at the end of the day, there's basically a compromise made saying, hey, Germany, you can screw off. We'll have peace for 10 years. And in exchange for that, we're going to give up Corsica. Now, France would probably not want to give up Corsica. It would be very resilient in doing so. However, this is not France's video. This is Mediterranean's video, so they're going to be getting what they want. Speaking of getting what they want, let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. All right, so taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that Mediterranean now looks more like a country instead of just the Mediterranean Sea. A very large country at that, maybe one of the largest in the world. Of course, they're behind countries like Brazil, the US, Germany, India, not Germany. Why did I look at China and say Germany? I meant to say China, Russia, India, Australia, Argentina, Canada, but they're up there. That's what I'm getting at. We can break it down a little bit, but there's not really much to break down. Italy, they basically got chopped up. They lost their long part. As for Greece, they no longer exist. Germany, and there I go again, calling a country that's not Germany. Turkey and Mediterranean worked out something where they were able to get this, whatever it's called, that was ceded over to Turkey. And they, Istanbul is now kind of not even, it's just a really big city. It's not near the water at all, which is kind of weird to think about. And then they got a little bit of Greece's panhandle. So overall, very good. But I think Mediterranean wants more. Obviously, they're missing like a very important thing, which is access to the ocean. Now, of course, they have the Suez Canal over here, which is basically useless. They have the Black Sea, but I mean, you're not going to do anything over there. And they have a very, 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 very small coastline over here. But you want more, obviously. So why don't you go ahead and get some? Mediterranean troops will start to move into the eastern parts of Spain and move through with a lot of not resistant Spain. They're not doing anything. It gets so bad that Portugal joins the war just for the sake of saving any land that Spain might lose, which will obviously be all of it if they don't do anything. So Spain is just obliterated very quickly. The world is very surprised by this, and Mediterranean moves into the top 10 militaries. They're probably using all 200 million of those people to kind of, you know, bolster the military. I mean, they're not using every person, they're using a lot of this. There's a lot of recruiting and conscription. It's not very pretty right now. It's like Rome, but if it was tyrannical. Yes, I do often find myself thinking about Rome. Anyway, Spain's gone, so let's look at that. All right, so taking a look at this peace treaty here, this is getting very disproportionate. Mediterranean doesn't look anything like the Mediterranean Sea anymore, and it looks like some weird parasite has attached itself to Europe. Also, Cyprus got annexed. That's not important though, poor Cyprus. But Spain's gone, they got divided up. Portugal got a little bit of the land, but they're not gonna last much longer anyway. And Mediterranean is now long Iberia. Yeah, that's weird. So Mediterranean has gone ahead and it has expanded itself very well. They have become a powerhouse in Europe, influencing a lot of Southern Europe and Northern Africa. Of course, Western Europe and Northern Europe will be very resistant to this, and they will push up against each other. However, the sphere of influences of these two countries is going to be kind of like a tectonic plate. They're going to be clashing against each other and like forming mountains and stuff. Sorry, we're learning about that kind of stuff in science right now, but had to make the reference. Actually, what I want to do is kind of make like a map of influence. I've been talking about influence a lot recently in my videos, so why don't we go ahead and just visualize all of that? All right, well, this is confusing as hell, so I probably should have color coded this, but the US obviously has the largest sphere of influence, being over all of America. Now, of course, they don't like have influence over every single country over here, like Venezuela, that's China and Russia. Nicaragua, that's China and Russia. They also have influence over Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, and Western/Northern Europe, and a lot of Western Africa. Now, this could be very loosely like rigided, like it's not every single country that's in the sphere. Same thing with China. They have influence over themselves, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, North Korea, and all of Eastern Africa. But of course, not all of these countries adhere over to China, especially like Kenya, Uganda. Those are more US allies. I left Saudi Arabia unchecked because they have too much influence by other people. Mediterranean, we already saw what that was like. Russia, they have control over themselves in Central Asia. India doesn't have a sphere of influence just yet, although if they did, it would be over Nepal and Bhutan. And yeah, so that's cool. So looking ahead at the future of Mediterranean, I think they're going to go ahead and annex all of North Macedonia, or maybe it's just Macedonia at this point, since you know, Greece doesn't exist. They would also probably get into a war with Egypt, giving them access to the Red Sea, which is very cool. They would also likely clash with Northern Europe as they look to expand northward. Northward? Is that even a... I don't think that's a word. Romania would probably end up annexing Moldova. These guys would absolutely destroy Bulgaria, since, you know, there's a bunch of allies around Bulgaria. Maybe they conquest into the Middle East and do what the Romans couldn't do. Did they do that? I need to retouch on that kind of history. Right now, I'm learning about the U.S. government. Ooh, fun. Not very fun. It's kind of hard. But yeah, they would secure oil supplies, take out the Middle East. Maybe they would clash with Russia a little bit with the whole Middle Eastern conflict. These fronts would probably clash. I don't really think they would get on the U.S.'s bad side at all, since, you know, their sphere of influence is like too big to mess with. Like, of course, they would be clashing with Northern Europe and going up against that front. But I don't really see the Mediterraneans wanting to go down into Africa, simply because there's not really a point in doing so. So this has been What If the Mediterranean Sea Was a Country. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated right now. And yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And of course, thank you to all the super fans, which include Matthew Newman, Yam, Kylie Speaks Plays, Shadow Gamer Z, Deva Edits, Mr. Bonk 7, Hammer Toad 45, Patrick Clauser, Connor the Gamer, Texan Cowboy Cheese, Poland Country Ball, Yakko, Nevada Garbage Trucks, DW Cool Dude, Soviet Ball, and Serminator. Once again, thank you guys.